first round. How would you describe the tournament so far?
I think the first rounds of this year's African Cup of Nations 2013 have been quite revealing. It started up very slowly. It started off with the image of just like the way the South Africans opened it up for us. You know, it was kind of like a relatively drabby game that we saw. But from the second game onwards, when the South Africans exploded, when they took on their next opponents, everybody just followed suit. And we've seen some breathtaking football. We saw the Ethiopians, you know, bring out a kind of football, a brand of football we thought Africans couldn't play, which was positional football, possession football, pressing football, and clearly it was refreshing to see. So I think for African football, it's been quite pleasing to see.
What teams have impressed you the most, other than Ethiopia that you mentioned just now?
No, the Ethiopians, from an ex-player or from a coaching point of view, and from an analyst point of view, I was quite impressed with Ethiopians because of the content of the work they brought in. I must say I am also a bit impressed with the Ivorians because they are coming with a version of more collective football. The first game they played more individual, but from the second game and the last game we saw them play, we saw a more collective form of football where mobility is key. And I must say also, the South Africans psychologically impressed me a bit because after the first game I thought they had taken a knock on the head and that they were not going to come up, but the introduction of Dean Foreman in the midfield kind of like just sparked fire into this team. Then I must say that when you look at those ones, and in some way Togo did impress me also because of the fact that I thought they were going to be a one-man squad with Adebayo and, you know, but they kind of like did it in. And short of Ethiopia, the second team that impressed me the most is Cape Verde. Cape Verde from the onset, we all knew people in the job knew we had to look out because they stopped Cameroon from coming. And in the way they did it, they qualified in Cameroon, not in Cape Verde. And from the first game onwards, we saw them also show a beautiful style of football against South Africa. And now, them qualifying, they just wrote history.
How important is team strategy in terms of the teams you've mentioned now, Cape Verde, Togo, and Ethiopia? They don't have big stars.
No.
You know, so looking at it from your time and now, the teams that have big stars tend to play individually, while some of these teams that are doing well. You know, so what is the lesson for Africa?
The lesson for Africa is that if Africa wants to win major tournaments, modern football is all about the team. I will give you a quick example. Look at Barcelona. Everybody's ranting all around about Messi, about Messi, about Messi. In as much as Messi is the star of the team, he is also collective. It's now a team football. And I keep saying it since we started from the onset of this tournament, of this championship, is the team that plays more as a team is going to win it. And not necessarily the team with the best players. Because it will get to the point, and we're at that point now, whereby it's just going to be a game of 90 minutes that decides. No more calculations. And then what is important now is how you have prepared yourself to handle the situations as a team. How you can rely on yourself. Of course, we'll need individual prowesses, individual, things to like get us in when it gets tight. One-on-one situations or a well-struck free kick, of course. But it is that team that collectively can seal behind and play as a team that will win it. So this is the future of African football, team football. Otherwise, forget it. If you come against the Europeans with individual football, you will lose. I will bet. Normally I never bet money, but I will bet you're going to lose. That's the only thing.
Well, finally for the first round, which players impressed you?
Oh, I've been very impressed with Traore of Burkina Faso. He's got pace. He's collected in his thinking. He's incisive. He's collective, and he's a deadly finisher. And I think it's one of the most painful things that I had to read yesterday when I read that he was out for the rest of the tournament thanks to the injury he picked up. So personally, I am, for him and for this tournament, I'm a little bit disappointed. I will add on to him also Saladin Said of Ethiopia. And just to prove us right, he's now got a move to Europe. He's moving to Belgium, where I live, to play now for SLS. So it's quite impressive, I think.
All right, just the one question from myself: who's gonna make it through from the quarterfinals into the semifinals?
Well, giving you an answer to this is going to be difficult because my head is speaking and my heart is speaking. The head being reasoning and putting. It's going to be difficult, but one thing that is going to be clear is this. If you look at let's take them game for game. We have the Togo that is kicking us off. Togo is taking on. Togo is taking on. Who is it again? Togo is taking on Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso. Yes.
This game is going to be like it's not going to be what we're hoping to be because of the fact that Burkina Faso has been based offense, and in fact the whole team play has been based around two players, Petroepa and Traore. And Traore now is injured. Now these two players gave them a lot of mobility and a lot of movements and a lot of they were unpredictable thanks to these two. And that cost Banse and the captain Dagano the place because the team became more mobile. Now the question now is that if they're going to play this game now with Traore being absent, the fact that these two were there was difficult for opponents to mark them out because they always had you can't double mark them because then you'll be losing 4 players on these two. That's why they were able to play the way they could. But the fact that one of them is missing now, it might be an advantage for the other team. And now Burkina Faso might have to change the style of play. Now why would they change the style of play? They have to change the style of play because now they have a relatively static player that has to go in front now in the person of Banse of Dagano. I'm not trying to say they're not good players, but they're different mold of players. So I think that could change the game plan and the physiognomy of this game. That could be. Had Traore been there, I would have said for sure Burkina Faso is going through. But with this team spirit I saw from the Togolese yesterday and the team fight, and there's an hand of God there to put them to the quarterfinals, I think this hand of God is going to propel them also to the next round. The next game is Ghana versus Cape Verde. Now, this game doesn't depend on Ghana. This game depends entirely on Cape Verde. The celebration they had when they qualified was like a team who had won the African Cup of Nations. They went into history. It's a population of 500,000 people, and they have been able to achieve what some nations like Ethiopia with 85 million could not achieve. So now the question is, are they now happy? Would they become complacent? Would they now come into the pitch of play and say, okay, no matter what happens, we've achieved all we want to do is go home? Or would they be so relaxed now and say, we have no pressure on us, the Ghanaians have to win. If we lose 3-0, it doesn't matter. And when a player is relaxed and has nothing to lose, he normally plays better. That is why I say it depends on what they do. If the Ghanaians, if 1 or 2 players of Ghana come into this game thinking already of the semi-finals, they will lose. The only way they can qualify is if they all come and play 100% and say, we are taking this team as serious as if we're playing 5 favorites, Ivory Coast.
Okay.
So I can't really tell you who's going to win this because it depends on what's going to go there.
The South Africa quarterfinal?
South Africa versus Mali.
Mm-hmm.
The thing there is, I don't want to play into tactics, but in this game, we all know the importance of Seydou Keita for Mali. And this player, he's been wearing this leadership mantle on him so well. He's been working hard, he's been playing out. Now, I was hearing one of my colleagues ask me, yeah, but Sunday, we have to get somebody to stop Keita from playing. South Africans have to stop Keita from playing to do that. The best way to stop Keita from playing is not to stop him when he has the ball, is to stop the ball from getting to him. That's the best way to play. That's what South Africa have to look for. But this team is very, very collective and very solid. South Africa's game, the results of this game for South Africa is just going to be based all through on their defense. This team is not Morocco. If they get one-on-one situations against Kune, in as much as he's an exceptional goalkeeper and he's proven it and he's got his team this far, should the defense let him so open, vulnerable to face these Malians one-on-one, it will be costly. It will be expensive. So for that reason, that is what I think. This is what I think both teams have to do. The Malians have to play the way they've been playing, but South Africa have to change, especially defensively. Otherwise, we might see a Mali qualify.
Okay. And then the final one is the final before the final, basically.
Yeah.
Nigeria against the Ivory Coast.
There has never been in this, Nigeria is taking on Ivory Coast. There has never been in the history of football ever a time where these two nations met and Cote d'Ivoire was so much the favorites like now.
Yeah.
It has never been. But personally, this game is just a question of mentality. This is the game Nigerians, we should go into the game. I might sound biased, but then again, I'm born Nigerian and I love my country. We should go into this game and really for the first time have it in our mind, we have nothing to lose. They have everything to play for. They are the ones to go in there. So if Nigeria comes into this game with a concerted effort that, okay, we're going to play as a team more and try to, not really take the fight up to them, but surprise them in areas where they're not expecting, which I can't say on air, I think Nigeria will carry it there. But Ivory Coast, we're going to call a spade a spade. Never have they had a collection of players like now. We just saw yesterday the so-called reserve team play. This reserve team is as good as first 11 of most African nations who came to this tournament. And with players like Drogba, they have in their ranks 2 ex-African players of the year. The current one and one that's an ex-one, Yaya Toure and Didier Drogba. When you have 2 world-class players like this in your fold, you are normally unbeatable. If we don't play at our best, if Nigeria we don't play at our best, I think Cote d'Ivoire will beat us.
Okay. Sunday, thanks a lot.